Hi, my name is Emma Scott and I'm the Operations Manager at Disability Equality Scotland, and I lead on our hate crime work for Transport Scotland. 1 in 5 of us has a disability. We all know someone with a disability, whether it's a parent, child, mum, dad, uncle, son, wife, neighbour. Crime against disabled people because of who they are has been on the rise in Scotland over the last 10 years. Disability hate crime is when a person is targeted because they are disabled. At Disability Equality Scotland, we won't rest until all of Scotland's disabled people can live their lives free from the fear of targeted violence, intimidation and harassment simply because they are disabled. We represent over 800 members and are run for and by disabled people. We champion disabled people's rights, working with communities, businesses, government and other organisations. Our work with transport providers is so important. Our bus, rail and ferry networks are the lifeblood of Scotland. They help us to work, socialise, connect with family, visit the hospital and generally be part of our community. So if disabled people don't feel safe on public transport, their opportunities diminish. But transport providers in Scotland recognise how important it is to help people to feel safe, and they've come together with us to establish a hate crime charter. Put simply, the charter is a promise to customers. It's a promise that we will work to prevent hate crime on board, but if it does happen, reports will be taken seriously by transport colleagues who know how to handle them and make sure they're followed up properly.
My name is Keith Lynch. I am Chair of People for Scotland. People for Scotland is a voluntary advocacy organisation. People for Scotland campaigns for the rights of people with learning disabilities. I have a learning disability that requires me to need support in order to live day to day, to understand long words. I also need support to help me budget, help me plan any trips that I need to do. For example, if I have to get transport to travel up north to see family up north, I use public transport quite often to get to appointments, to get to meetings. For example, to go to hospital appointments and physio appointments, to get to people first meetings. I use public transport to go and see family members who live up the north of Scotland. I have been on a CalMac ferry to Annan when I was at college. I've also been involved in a meeting that was held on a Northlink ferry. I have had aggression, well, a little bit of aggression, used up on a bus from a bus driver, but I've also had it from other a bus passenger as well. But I've also heard stories from other people with learning disabilities and their experience of experiencing verbal abuse and assaults in transport. I was travelling home on the bus and somebody was walking past me to get off the bus and hit me in the head as we were walking past, which I got to the bus driver who took a note of it, and when I got home I phoned the police and it wasn't taken any further. That made me feel very angry, frustrated, and what I felt I also wanted to do to campaign the highlights of people with learning disabilities, to try and make transport safer for people with disabilities to travel. Anybody that's witnessed or saw it should be encouraged to report hate crime incidents towards people with disabilities, so that people could feel that it is being taken seriously. But when I see or witness hate crime, it makes me feel angry, frustrated, and also more determined to try and stamp out hate crime altogether. I have reported it, and it was noted, but it didn't get very far. But once it's been recorded and investigated, I usually get told that they can't take it any further because they don't have any witnesses or you don't know the person. It makes me feel very frustrated, angry, and more determined to try and do something to stamp it out. I don't think it's fair that people should be scared to travel on public transport. I think people should be able to travel on public transport safely without feeling scared. I feel the use of a hate crime charter, if it was seen up on public transport, I hope people would be encouraged to report any incidents of hate crime or hate incidents towards people with disabilities. That could be ways of taking things seriously and helping us report any incidents of hate crime or hate incidents towards a person with disability or learning disability. I think that hate crime should not be tolerated, and I would encourage people to report it so that it can help get hate crime stamped out so that it doesn't happen to a person with a learning disability or disability.
Hi, my name is Susan Burke. People First is for people with learning disabilities. It's for advocacy and to help people with learning disabilities. I campaign for the rights of people. I'm a board director for 5. I also do different things in the organisation. Part of my disability is communication with people who don't understand me with a learning disability. And I've also got fibromyalgia, which is I have a lot of pain. The communication is I can't speak to professionals. I find it hard talking to family and friends. I get frustrated and I get annoyed sometimes. And my fibromyalgia is I'm in a lot of pain every day, and it's a chronic pain, but I still get on with my life. I find it hard to get on buses. I find it hard because the driver tells you to sit down, and also you don't have time to put your bus pass on the machine. I also find it with youngsters, there's shouting and bawling, and it frightens me, and I'm scared. I have to get off a bus stop beforehand because I'm frightened and I'm scared. I use public transport to get around. I have travelled on a ferry to, Orkney. I've been on the Caledonia Bray, and I travelled over to there. And I found it really difficult going on the boat because I didn't know, there was no one there to help and support if I needed anything. I didn't know the way to go or how to get off the boat to get back onto the bus or anything like that. I didn't feel safe. because I felt frightened and afraid because I didn't know where I was going or where, how to get around it. Public transport is important for me to get around, meet friends and family, do my daily activities, do shopping, and it's very important that I can get from A to B. If I didn't have it, I'd be stuck in the house and I wouldn't be able to get around. I have experienced bullying. It's people speaking badly, or they're shouting and bawling, and it makes me scared, frightened. I have to get off the bus because it's so frightening for me. I have not reported bad behaviour on public transport because I'm scared. In case anybody's on the bus that I know and it comes back on me, I have been frightened to travel on public transport. It just makes me not want to go out and about, or I feel like, how can I put it? I can feel like I just feel like I'm scared to go back on the bus. This makes me feel like I'm isolated and I'm lonely, and it makes me fear to go back outside. I just want to lock myself away in the house. I'd like a safe place so that we can report hate crime, that we could sit down with somebody that we can trust, somebody that can listen, and that something could be done. I'd like to be treated with respect and dignity, and treated as a person, and not to be treated differently. I have been called names, I've been called stupid, and that I can't do anything, and I'm not the same as everybody else. I have never reported any bad behaviour on public transport. For disabled people, they should be able to travel safely. They should be able to get on a bus without anybody calling them names. They should be able to have a seat and not criticising or discrimination. I like public transport to listen and take their time to understand people with learning disabilities.
I'm Christine Roberts, Director of Human Resources, and I'm delighted to introduce our Hate Crime Charter to you. At CalMac, we're committed to providing positive, fair and safe experiences for all of our employees and customers. We recognise that every person that works with or travels with us is an individual that should be treated with dignity and respect. Last year we carried over 5.6 million passengers on our services, an estimated 500,000 of whom had a disability. Every one of our passengers is valued and should always feel welcome, safe and respected on our services. Likewise, our colleagues should come to work every day feeling that they're safe and included in the CalMac family. However, with hate crime in Scotland on the rise, we all have a responsibility to play our part in ensuring that passengers are treated with respect, which is why we've committed to a hate crime charter with Disability Equality Scotland, government and other transport providers across Scotland. The Hate Crime Charter is our promise that we will not tolerate any form of prejudice within our services, giving our colleagues, our customers and our communities peace of mind that when they're travelling with us, they're safe and they're welcomed. I know you will all join me in committing to this charter as we work together to implement it across our organisation and stamp out hate crime across our country.
Hello, my name is Colin and I work in the Annie service for CalMac Ferries. This promise to customers is called the Hate Crime Charter. The Charter says, hate crime is when you're targeted because of who you are or someone who thinks you are. This could be because of your race, your religion, your disability, your sexual orientation, or your transgender identity. Targeting somebody because of who they are is wrong, and it could be a criminal offence. Everyone has the right to travel safely. Any aggressive, bullying or harassing behaviour will not be tolerated on board. If you become aware of any aggressive, bullying or harassing behaviour, we need you to report this. There are different ways that you can do this. We will make sure all the incidents you tell us are recorded and where appropriate, reported to the police. We will take this seriously. Don't ignore it, report it.
Hello, my name is Constable Stephanie Rose and I work for Police Scotland. Hate crime is defined as any crime which is perceived by the victim or any other person as being motivated wholly or partly by malice or ill will towards a social group. But to kind of help understand that definition, I'm going to break it down a little bit. I'll start with the part that talks about a social group. When we talk about hate crime, the law in Scotland currently states that the following groups are protected from hate crime. They are people that are targeted based on disability, on race, on religion, they're targeted for their sexual orientation or transgender identity. If a person is targeted because they belong to one of those groups, or the person targeting them believes they do, or shows prejudice towards one or more of those groups, then that could be a hate crime. And when we say any crime, we literally mean any crime. Hate crime can take any form. Examples of this might include verbal abuse, assault, vandalism, damaging your property, theft, online abuse, so that's whether it's using a phone or a computer, and any other behaviour that amounts to a crime in Scottish law. It's important to note the definition states that the crime can be perceived by the victim or any other person. This means anyone can report hate crime. It can be the person it happens to, so that is the person that we would identify as the victim. It can be a friend, it can be a family member, it could be a passerby, a member of staff in a business, a police officer, it can be anyone. If the victim or any other person believes that that person's motivation, the reason for targeting them, was partly the reason or the whole reason was based on prejudice, a dislike, a hatred of a person's perceived disability, race, religion, sexual orientation or transgender identity, then this can be reported and will be investigated as a hate crime. It is so important that hate crime is reported. We want you to report incidents you see or become aware of. People have often been targeted multiple times before they actually report hate crime. If you see an incident, please report it to help us identify people that need help, support and advice, to help us understand and know what's happening in our communities. It will raise awareness of this type of crime and also help the person committing the crime understand the consequences of their actions, and in some circumstances it could also lead to that person being arrested, and that may stop that person hurting someone else. We also know that hate crime often starts as what some people think of as low-level crime, but we know that these crimes have real significant impact on people, also affects their families and the wider communities, and often, if unchallenged, these crimes can escalate and get a lot worse. There are lots of different ways that you can report hate crime. If the incident is ongoing, please make sure that you follow your company's policy on how to safely manage an incident. The priority is always to ensure your safety and that of any passengers or other staff members. Follow your procedures for reporting internally, but also please report to the police. There are various ways a report can be made to the police, either at the time of the incident or after the incident has occurred. Some of these ways of communicating with the police involve attending at a police office. You can phone 101, or if it's an emergency, please dial 999. For people who are deaf or who don't communicate using speech, you can use the emergency SMS 999 text service. If your first language is British Sign Language, then you can use the Contact Scotland BSL service, which is a video interpreting service. You can also go onto the Police Scotland website, and there's an online hate crime form there that you can complete, or you can contact us through the Contact Us section. There is an app called Keep Safe Scotland. If you download that app for free onto your phone, there's also a button on that app that allows you to directly report through to the Police Scotland website. If you're not comfortable approaching the police and communicating with the police on your own, then you can use one of our third-party reporting centres. They are organisations and groups who have been trained to support a person to make a report of hate crime to the police. If your incident occurs on the rail network, then the British Transport Police have a free text service. You can dial 61016 and the British Transport Police will provide assistance. And you can also provide information anonymously, or you can give your details through Crime Stoppers. We want to work together to help people feel safer in their communities and to make sure that they know there's a zero tolerance to any forms of hate crime on your network. Please help us to do that.